Tonight's not so much the Benjamin Dixon Show. This is the truth about the BLM kidnapping. That's what tonight is all about. Because, well, there's this thing. There's this controversy that is actually broadcasting on two different frequencies today. One of them is significant. One of them matters. One of them is something that we should discuss, and we'll call it what it is. And the other one is bullshit. That's all. I mean, I don't even feel like trying to finagle fancy words to describe, or not even fancy words. I don't even feel like breaking down the illogical nature of the second frequency. Not yet. It's just total, complete bullshit. And if you've been stuck under a rock today and haven't been watching the news, because this has been all over the news, because this fits the narrative of so many media outlets. I took my kids to McDonald's after school, which I don't know why I did that, because McDonald's sucks. But anyway, it was convenient. I went to McDonald's, and all over the TVs in Massachusetts, all over the TVs, not a single cartoon was on. All they had on was the press conference from Chicago about the Black Lives Matter kidnapping. So I don't know. If you haven't heard about it, then I'll bring you up to speed as much as I can. Anoa Changa, my homie, my sister from another mister, she's going to be joining me later on, so we could talk about some more of the nuances about this. So the very real thing that we have to discuss is the fact that there was, and just to be sure, I don't see what the big deal is about categorizing what these four Neanderthals did. And I call them Neanderthals because that's what the hell I want to call them. I don't see what the big deal or the difficulty is calling what they did a hate crime. If for no other reason, it was committed against a disabled American person, human being. Right? So anyone who makes a big deal one way or the other, oh, this was not a hate crime. No, it was a hate crime. It was a hate crime. From all indications, from everything that we see, it was a hate crime. So call it a hate crime. What's the big deal? It's a hate crime, right? I know a lot of people get stuck. Oh, can you commit a hate crime against white people? So if you're stuck on that, then he was a disabled person. Surely, I mean, the law includes disabled Americans. So, it is. Boom. And you have four people who were idiots for doing it in the first place. And I'll pull their names up. I don't, whatever. Let's call their names and I'll pull their pictures up. They're idiots for doing it in the first place. And they're idiots for broadcasting it. Like, how dumb can you actually be to broadcast your crime, and not a crime of this, not even magnitude, but this type of crime, and think that this is going to work out well for you? So they're clearly a group of idiots. And let me just double down. Let me triple down on these four. Because they come from Chicago, and don't get me wrong, there's crime everywhere. There's murder everywhere. There's black on black crime everywhere. There's white on white crime everywhere. There's Hispanic on Hispanic crime everywhere. People who, black on black murders, white on white. People kill people that they know. So everyone who's tripping over, black on black crimes, white people kill white people at about the same rate that white people do. But that's not the point of tonight's conversation. Tonight's conversation is about these four idiots from Chicago who really, I hope they get everything they deserve. Because I personally I cannot stand bigotry, stupidity, and just a lack of humanity. Right? So if you fall into one of those three categories, I have no sympathy for you, even if you share my skin color. Go to hell. So I have no sympathy for these people because they both fall into all three of those categories: bigots, idiots, and I forgot already third one. You might remember. So I have no sympathy for them. I have even less sympathy for them because they hail from a city, and then maybe this makes me bigoted against Chicago, but they hail from a city that is a scourge in terms of black on black violence. Like, Yes, white on white crime happens everywhere in the world, but Chicago, like what, 1,200 people? Something, not 1,200. I'm sorry, it's about 800 people. I don't even know. Hundreds of people killed. So I have no sympathy for the imbecility, if that's a word. If not, I just made it up. I have no regard for these four cretins. Charge them. Here's the difference, and not actually, nope, pause. I'm not even going to give you the difference yet. Because there is a difference. Actually, no, I'm going to give it to you now. When black folks do stuff, they get arrested, they get charged, and they go to jail. Shit, when black people don't even do things, they get arrested, they get charged, and they go to jail. Not only that, we have a history in America when black folks are innocent. Not only do they get arrested, they get charged, get arrested, whatever the order is, get found guilty, they go to jail, and then they get executed in America. And then we find out after the fact that they were in it. So that's the difference here, right? There was a white student who raped, sodomized with a hanger, a disabled African-American man. And he pled guilty and got out without going to jail. So everyone who's like, oh, this is such a great injustice. It's an injustice if they don't get arrested, but their asses are in jail right now, tonight, getting ready to be charged or already have been charged with a hate crime. Justice and the mechanisms of justice, I can't even think of the phrase I'm thinking of right now. It's already in motion. The wheels of justice are already in motion. There you go. So for all of you white supremacists and white dog whistlers and all of you people who are like, oh, this is such a shame and black people get away. What the fuck are you complaining about? They are arrested and in jail, and they're going to probably be found guilty because there's video. They're going to spend a long time in jail. Show me the injustice. Injustice comes on the heel of a system that does not prosecute or find guilty people who are guilty. Injustice for some, for a lot of Americans, injustice is O.J. Simpson. Not for me, because I cheered. I was a kid in high school. Injustice is Darren Wilson, who didn't even go to trial. Like, we can't even get white people to go to trial for the shit that they do. But that's not what I want to talk about first. The first thing I do want to talk about is the fact that these four morons, I hope they get exactly what they deserve. I have no sympathy, empathy, otherwise. I don't identify with them. I could care less. I could care less about what they get as long as they get proper justice. Any questions? White supremacists? Not that I give two shits about satisfying you, but we're gonna nullify and neutralize your little bitch baby argument up front. Are we clear? If you're not clear, 857-600-0518. And I don't want just the ragtag, trolls. I want these big mouth people like Glenn Beck. I want these people like whatever the John Watson, whatever the British troll is, not even American, the prison planet from InfoWars, right? I want these bigots who build these straw men and are just as much a race baiter as they would ever think Al Sharpton is, make just as much money off of peddling racial hatred. I want you to say something. People like Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder, cornball. Cornball is what I call him. Cornball who backed out of his debate. All of you, Sargon of Akkad or Akkad or whatever the hell you call yourself. All of you people who make these straw men in order to have something to say so that you can feed the dog whistle audience that you have, and sometimes it's a straight out neo-Nazi audience, Richard Spencer. All of you raggedy, cornball, white supremacists who want to build a straw man, rewind the tape and then kiss my ass. All right, now that that's out of the way, just warming up here. Here's the truth about hashtag BLM kidnapping. The truth about it is it was started by a white supremacist who has zero regard for the white disabled man who was hurt and assaulted. It was started because he wanted to have his article go viral. That's where it started from. You want proof? I'll pull up proof from my timeline. You can go to my Twitter timeline. The very first mention of the hashtag was an InfoWars article. Now, this does not negate what actually happened. And if you're intentionally obtuse and you can't handle the nuance, right, then I suggest you go and get a 5th grade education and come back and see me again. Because this operates on 2 different frequencies. The real crime that happened and the real false accusations, the false associations, the desire to have their article go viral, the desire to be racial instigators while simultaneously feigning as though they are not racial instigators. That's the 2 wavelengths that this story operates on. And the fact of the matter is that they are more than happy to use white bodies. Of course, they'll use black bodies. They have no problem using black lives to score clicks. No problem using it to score political points. No problem using our lives to forward a political agenda that wants to uphold the white male Christian power structure in America. They have no problem doing that, but they will also use the lives of white people, their own brethren. Erase the real trauma. Ask any of them if they know this man's name. Ask any of them if they know the names of all of the officers who were killed by white supremacists in 2016 alone. White people killed more police officers in 2016 than black people ever did. And yet, they create these narratives of it's an all-out war from Black Lives Matter against the police, racial war. And you get Alex Jones, and I know I'm a big guy, but that fat, ugly motherfucker, this insane cornball, like, he's one of the lamest dudes I've ever seen in my life. And the most, I will give him points for being a great actor. I'll give him points for being like WrestleMania. But I don't do this for a living, but I do this enough to realize you can only perform to the extent that you believe it. So you have people like Alex Jones, you have people like his whole entire cohort, his entire ilk, who are more than happy to have no regard for the white police officers who have been killed by white supremacists because it does not forward their narrative. They don't even know the name of this young man who was assaulted. They don't care to know the name of this young man who was assaulted. They don't care to know the situation. All they care about is getting clicks off of their audience and making their articles go viral so that they can pay their little raggedy bills and pay for their meth addiction or whatever they struggle with. Because they're clearly not operating with a full set. And I won't dare blame it on mental illness. I blame it on opportunism. I blame it on some type of drug addiction because they have lost their fucking minds at InfoWars. But the point is, they have no regard whatsoever for the white lives, right? They don't even know their names. They don't care to know their names. They don't care about justice. All they care about is using any opportunity they can to score political and financial points. And this is just, what happened last night, or what came out last night, when it happened, they had no concern whatsoever that it had absolutely nothing to do with Black Lives Matter, other than the fact that they knew that they can score points with all of the rabidly racist, the dog whistle racists, and the ones that are not too sure whether or not they're racist or not, but they have these deep-seated suspicions of Black Lives Matter because, because all lives matter. They knew they could score political points, and that's what they did. Knowing full and damn well had zero to do with Black Lives Matter, other than the fact that they were black. So clearly we should read into this, right? Clearly we should use our intelligence that they don't believe we have and understand that if they're blaming Black Lives Matter for the actions of people who are in no way affiliated with Black Lives Matter, nor did they reference Black Lives Matter, then the only common denominator is the fact that they're Black. And if they are Black and they've done something wrong, then clearly they must be affiliated with Black Lives Matter. No regard whatsoever to all of the positive things, all of the things that Black Lives Matter does, and not just Black Lives Matter as an organization, but the people who rally behind it as a battle cry, as a call to oppose, to protest, to oppose systemic oppression. Never mind all of that. You do something wrong, oh, your Black Lives Matter. And then they say, oh, well, we're not blaming all Black people. We're just blaming Black Lives Matter. No, you're blaming all Black people who are crazy enough to organize and protest systemic racism, white supremacy, and oppression that still exists in the United States. Oh, no, there's no such thing as white supremacy. That's reverse racism. No, you demonstrated your racism when you drew a false equivalence between people who are Black with a Black organization, and they must be the same. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that we're race baiting when you are clearly demonstrating your propensity to not only race bait, not only erase the importance of the disabled white man who was hurt today, but also to make money off of drawing this false equivalence. So congratulations to all of you out there who are, and the reason I titled it, let me finish that thought. The reason I titled it The Truth About Black Lives Matter is because it started with InfoWars. It started with, who's this, Paul, I can never remember this Brit's name. I can't remember his name. Paul Joseph Johnson, the guy who thinks very so little of his audience. He thinks so little of his audience. He thinks that he could just base, and actually he's right. His audience is so dumb. I'm sorry. I mean, he starts every video about the truth about Pizzagate, the truth about, I can't even do a British accent. Maybe I'll get a clip of Doctor Who, right? The truth about Hillary Clinton's emails, the truth about, of course, my audience is going to love that one, right? But the truth about, Hillary Clinton's alien baby. That's what InfoWars specializes in. Not only do they specialize in that drivel, they also specialize in erasing every American tragedy and playing to the false flag following on YouTube. The people who don't believe 9/11 actually happened. The people who believe the earth is still flat. The know-nothings, the people who claim that Sandy Hook was a false flag and those were actors, or the people who believe that the Boston bombing was a false flag and those were actors and nobody really died, right? This is what they make their bread and butter off, the conspiracy theorist audience, the conspiracy driven psychosis. That's what they make their money off of. Where would they be? Where would they be? Where would Alex Jones be and the people who created this hashtag? Where would they be if their audience wasn't as moronic as they need them to be? And I would say I don't mean any offense to their audience, but I do. I'd be lying my ass off if I said I don't mean any offense to their audience, because you guys empower it. You empower it. And these are the same people, right? These are the same people who believe that there's a police state. They believe that Obama's coming to get their guns so he can institute a police state, but they don't believe that there's a police state in the Black community. Anyway, all the while in the backdrop of Dylan Roof, right? All in the backdrop of a man who said, I kill those Black people because I wanted to start a race war. And yet these are the same people who try to erase the white supremacy of Dylan Roof. The same people who try to pretend like he was just mentally unstable. Dylan Roof just told you bitches on yesterday there's nothing wrong with his brain, that he is not mentally unstable. He rejects psychology as a Jewish conspiracy. He rejects it, and he has no remorse for what he did. Yet and still, you have these white nationalists, and not even just white nationalists. You even had NPR this morning, which might at some intersection might have some commonalities. You even had NPR this morning saying, we don't understand. Why would he do this? What are his motivations? Bitch, he just told you he wanted to start a race war. So in the minds of people like that, the only people who can be racist in America are black people who complain about racism.